So has she been, since she's a nurse, has she been like super busy with coronavirus stuff or no? Not really.
No, not really.
No, it just hasn't affected you. Yeah, what's your
Yeah.
population there? Is it like dense or is it you guys more like country because you're outside of Nashville?
No, it's more, it was country. Now it's getting a little more dense, and growing a little bit faster.
They're all
But
from
it's not
California,
awful.
moving out there, getting away from here.
Yeah, a lot of people. We get a lot of people from Oregon right now. A lot of
Really?
That's
Oregon, a lot of
weird.
Seattle. Yeah.
People from
Oh wait,
Portland.
well I guess that's not that weird from there at this point.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we're starting to get a lot of businesses around Nashville. Like, I think Facebook is putting in some stuff down here, and then
Really?
we got a big Amazon facilities coming in and stuff like that. So I think we get a lot of transfers because of that,
Yeah.
into these areas. So
Utah's
no,
like
it's different.
Utah's growing like crazy, and we have this thing called, there's like Silicone Valley, right? We have a
Mhm.
whole stretch of the Wasatch Front, which is like basically the most populated part of Utah, and it's called the Silicone Slopes because it's like the Adobe headquarters is there, and like all these other different
Yeah.
headquarters are there because that's what everybody's like. Well, I'm not going to pay the taxes there. I'm just going to move. So they're moving to Utah, but then they're also moving to Texas, Nashville, or Tennessee, like all these other places. So you're going to see more rural places start to like grow a
Right.
lot, you know.
Oh
Isn't
yeah,
it
for sure.
Silicon Valley?
Silicones? Is it silicon?
I think
I'm
it's
pretty sure it's Silicon.
pretty sure it's Silicon too.
Oh, well, I like Cone Valley. You know what I mean?
I don't think it's like silicone.
I like
Not
those.
like-
I like,
they're
Silicon
I
Valley.
like those silicone valleys. You know what I'm saying?
That's more in LA. Where
I don't think they're
that's
trying to keep it from leaking.
it's where all the porn stars and models live. That's Silicon Valley.
It's hilarious. I'm just saying, man. I'm just a fan. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
Whatever. Anyway, yeah. So we have like a
I don't know why. I don't want to know your subscription price per
no,
month.
yeah, whatever. So yeah, no, but like we have Adobe, we have all these crazy things coming in. Like Google is putting in a new internet service in Salt Lake City. It's the first one that they've done, like I guess to this extent that this is new technology, but they're making it free in Salt Lake because it's like their test run. So like a lot of big portions of Salt Lake City are going to have this like, I don't know, FiOS type, internet from Google, and it's like free of charge because they're testing it out. It's like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they tried to do that here and they got sued by a bunch of different places, I think.
Oh,
I
really?
think, yeah, I think like, our local internet places or whatever, I think they fought it like crazy and wouldn't let it come in, and they were trying it in different places. And I'm pretty sure that that's what happened, but nothing ever came to fruition from it because of it.
Huh, I wonder if
Weird.
that's gonna happen here. I don't know.
Now I'm stuck with glitchy, slow
Yeah.
internet service.
I was gonna say you should appeal that with the amount of internet problems you're having.
For real.
Evidently, it's just my house because I went and checked other people's houses and was like, man, y'all are a lot faster. Mine's not.
Yeah.
I know when you said you were on like fiber optic and then you sent us your numbers, I was like, what? Like my mom just changed the internet and she's up in the mountains and it's like satellite, like I don't remember what it's called, digital path or whatever, and it's at like 30 or 40 Mbps, and I'm like, what? That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what mine was, right? When I sent it to you. It's kind of
Yeah,
close to
Jesse's was at like 5.
Yeah.
It was bad. I did not expect it to be that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you should probably
Me
get it
neither.
fixed.
Especially when you said it was like fiber optic, I was like, oh, that's like in the thousands usually.
I thought it was good, but
If that's what you pay for and you're getting the internet you're doing, you should probably go change what you pay. Because
I don't know what I pay for. My wife
I know
handles
that.
all the
I'm
bills.
the same way. I'm like, I don't know.
I have no
We
clue.
have a bank account? Get out of here.
I just have this card and she tells me yes or no.
Yeah. Oh, my wife's a saint.
That's
She
pretty
takes care of
accurate.
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. The phone call she gets is, "Hey, can I afford this tool?" or "Hey, can I afford a 6-pack on the way home?" If the answer is yes to both of those, I'm happy, and that's all that
Yeah,
matters.
I just the tool I'll ask sometimes. The 6-pack I just assume. It's like, I'm just gonna go grab one. She's
Like,
like, I
if we
grabbed
can't
you one
afford
earlier.
this, we have problems.
Yeah, that's right. It's like if I get home, she's like, you probably shouldn't have bought that. I'm like, oh, we have bigger conversations than the 6-pack.
Yeah.
We're gonna need the 6-pack for that conversation.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like this is for that conversation.
I'm just saying that's the minimum that keeps me happy.
Right.
Anything after that's gravy. We're good.
Yeah, that's funny. What bourbon you drinking?
1976 or 1876, I think is the name of it.
1870.
So this is the first bottle of it I've had, but it's really good. And evidently it won some kind of bourbon thing last year, beat out Pappy and a couple other of the big names, and it's supposed to be really good. So I grabbed it. It was only like it was like $40, and
For a pretty good size one.
yeah, and it's an excellent bourbon, really good.
That's awesome.
So I just try them out every now and then, different kinds. And
Is bourbon your drink of choice? Just straight bourbon?
yeah, on the rocks.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll drink it straight every now and then, or neat, I guess is what you should say. But yeah, I like it just like that. I don't like mixed drinks. I don't drink Cokes and sodas and stuff, so I don't really mix anything. You kind of limit yourself to mixtures when you don't drink sodas.
Yeah, I like Moscow Mules because they're super easy to drink. You can drink like 7 of them. Yeah, and beer. That's very good. No, I like some whiskey stuff, but I hardly ever do straight whiskey. And there's sometimes that you're just in the mood and it works good. Yeah. Usually when it's cold out,
yeah,
I'm good for that because Oh yeah. But other than that,
I thoroughly enjoy cigars, so it goes really well with bourbon and whiskey. So that's why I tend to go with it.
Yeah, I'm jealous of your pictures you have with your cigars and tools in the shop. I'm like, gosh, dang it, man! I wish I was that cool. And then I realized in this podcast group, I'm the lame Jesse, and I'm like, oh, fantastic. This is great. I'm cool. I'm cool with that. I'll be the loser. It's okay. Yeah. I'm over here drinking White Claws. I'm like, hey.
That's one thing I love about the Woodshop. Man, you got to enjoy a cigar in there or whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
got to keep the alcohol down when you're using the power tool stuff.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, I don't partake in that when using the power tools. I like my fingers.
Yeah.
What are you working on, Brandon, in the shop lately?
Trying to still finish up these 2 tables. They're pretty much done though. I've cut all the braces for them today, the corner braces and the stretchers that go across from apron to apron. I got all the bases done, so now they just got to put them together and send them out, do a little bit of finish sanding. And then I brought my vanity back out because it's still not done. It takes 6 months to do a vanity if you didn't know. And yeah, so I got the top on it and I'm looking at it right now. You can't see it, obviously. The sinks are on. It's on my stories. But silicone, the sink's on, which is weird. Like, I figured
silicone or silicon?
Shut up.
Okay, I was making sure. Sorry, I was making sure.
The silicone. Put the silicone on. Yeah. Do you want to get into the caulk and cock conversation?
No, we can pass on that one. That's okay.
Yeah, but it just says, like, I looked, I'm like, I've never put this style sink, like the vessel style sinks that just sit on top.
Yeah.
They're not like inset. So I'm like, how the heck do you attach those? And I figured that the drain was going to like tighten down on the underside, but it doesn't. It just sandwiches in between on the sink itself to seal in the water there. And so you drill an oversized hole and then the drain just goes down in that and the sink just sits there. And I'm like, how do you attach these things? So I went online and like looked it up, and apparently you just use silicone and go around and set the sink on and line it up and let it cure. And that's just how it is.
Really? That seems so
that
unstable.
Doesn't seem. Yeah, I'm like, what?
Is it like a tall one? Like a tall bowl one?
Oh, it's like 6 inches tall. It's the square ones.
Oh,
and then it's got a tall vessel faucet. It looks like an old school like pump thing. Yeah. Gotcha. It's a dual vanity. So
that's for
I got the top on that, and I got to put it in there and get the plumbing all situated before I do the drawers and stuff because we only have one drain. So it'll go down and both will go into. So it has to go across into the other drain and then go into one drain. And I was kind of worried about that, but I don't think both sinks will ever be on at the same time. If they are, it wouldn't be very much. I'm not really worried about the drain. I talked to my buddy that's a plumber, and he's like, it'll be fine. I'm like, all right. But I just have to figure out like where the pipe's going to go across because some of the drawers are not going to be able to be as deep as they would be otherwise because they'll hit the pipe, obviously.
Yeah.
So I got the top on, sinks are on, and then I just got to take it in there and mock it up once the silicone's cured and all that good stuff. And then hopefully I can focus on stuff for videos.
That's nice. Your bathroom remodel you just did, right? That's going into that one?
Yeah. Cool. That's the only bathroom we have. So.
Oh, you only have a 1-bedroom house?
It's like I don't know. It's
1.5.
It's listed as a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, but like the other bedroom, it may as well be like an office. There's no closet in it or anything, so I don't know. It's weird.
Oh, I gotcha.
I don't think it was legally supposed to be sold as that because pretty sure you have to have a closet for it to be a bedroom. But
a closet and a window, right? I think those.
There's like 5 windows in there.
Oh, really?
The lady that lived here before loved windows, so there's windows all over.
Oh, yeah. So I'm thinking about
for energy. It's horrible.
Yeah. Is that something you're gonna have to replace? Is all those windows eventually, or are you
They're
just gonna
actually
move
all
out by
dual
then?
pane. They're all pretty nice.
Oh, really? It still
So,
gets
yeah,
super
they're all
hot, I'm
good.
sure, in there.
Yeah.
I have to. So we're thinking about. We have a 4-bedroom house, and but there's like the downstairs bedroom is massive. It's like 20 feet by like 12 feet. Like it's huge.
Wow.
And so we're
It's a
thinking.
spa.
Yeah. Well, right now it's like their playroom. We have like a couch in there and a TV and all their toys and all this crap. But we're thinking about basically doing a wall because the other house, there's a house in our neighborhood that's the exact same floor plan. It's for sale. And we just got our house appraised not too long ago. And they just put their house up for sale. So there's a 5-bedroom house. And so that bottom room is split into 2 because there's 2 closets. So you could split it right down the middle and just put 2 doors and you'd be fine. And their house is worth like $30,000 to $40,000 more than ours because of that extra bedroom. And so it's like thinking about just putting that wall up. So eventually, plus we have 3 kids, so it makes sense to have like one of them down there. Plus we can have a still playroom for the kids or whatever. But yeah, so that's probably another project I'll be tackling this winter.
Nice.
Yeah. Every time you say 3 kids, it makes me tired.
Okay, see, I mean,
Anytime you guys say kids at all makes me tired.
See, you would think since Jesse's like 58 years old that he would have more kids than me, but no.
Born in the 1800s with the typewriters.
Yeah. Where I live, right? Since I live in Utah, everyone thinks we're Mormon because you're like, you're so long. You have 3 kids. Oh, it makes sense. It's like, no, we're not Mormon. We just wanted to get it done and
we
over
understand.
with. Yeah, everyone's all sympathetic towards us here, but
like, just don't come knock on my door.
Yeah, that's a true statement there.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie, there was a good portion there where I zoned out when Brandon was talking because I was messing with my audio. And
wow,
for anybody listening,
that's
the
it.
last
I'm
podcast.
changing shirts right now.
I know you guys match. It's so cute.
My audio was terrible because I failed to record it, and Jesse had to use the audio from Zoom, and it was terrible. So yeah, when I looked down when you were talking, my audio wasn't recording. It had stopped for some reason on its own, but now it's working great.
Wow.
So I missed a little bit about what you said.
How long did it stop, man? I gotta do it. So you're just trying to, once again, okay, so we're gonna start I'm gonna start charging per hour. Okay, I'm just letting you guys know right now. Actually, just Jesse, Brandon, you're doing great.
Thanks.
JP, you're going to start paying me.
Yeah. I don't know why it stopped. It just stopped. It didn't went long, though. It stopped at like 2.5 minutes for some reason, but I just hit record and it was good to go.
It's going to stop again now. Watch.
I'm watching it. Now I've moved it, and that's what I was doing while everybody was talking. I was moving my audio over so I could in direct line of my eyes so I can see, make sure it's still going.
Right. I know. I got the window smaller so I can see mine in the background.
So
I don't want to have a Jesse instance.
Yeah, please don't.
Are you're building 2 tables and benches or just 2 tables? I missed that part.
2 tables and 2 benches.
Oh, okay. So you're doing all.
And they're tall tables, which is kind of weird. Like she wanted them 36 inches tall.
Like counter
height. Yeah. And then so the benches are like 24 inches tall, I think. Oh,
that's kind of weird. It's gonna.
I don't know.
Do they look weird, the benches, or you haven't done them yet?
I'd have the bases done, but they don't really look that weird. I guess. I mean, it's not that much bigger, I guess.
No.
I honestly don't know why she wants them like that, but whatever.
I like sitting at a taller table, but when you doing the benches taller like that, are you putting feet rests like on the thing? Okay, gotcha.
No, she didn't ask for it, so
that's cool. I was just curious.
I don't know.
Yeah,
and then they're not
it's interesting.
They're not real tall people, so I get confused. But whatever.
Well,
that's interesting.
Maybe they like to feel tall and sit up high then.
I've seen people that have big kitchens and, like small houses, but like big open kitchens. They use like the table or a countertop height table as like an island as well. So like doubles as like their dining table plus island. But I've never seen on almost. All those. Yeah, pretty much. But I've never seen a bench with that. Usually you just have like the countertop height chairs.
Right.
You don't ever have the bench. So that's why it's going to be interesting to see when you actually have the benches, if it looks weird or whatever.
I don't know. I just did what she said.
Dude, it's funny how when you get clients that just like want something very specific that like they're willing to pay you stuff and you're like, you start the process. You're like, this is what we should do. And they're like, yeah, totally. Then you start the process and they're like, okay, so I think we should change it. And then like what they suggest is like, if you told me that at the beginning, we would have saved a lot more money because I could have been able to use cheaper stuff or whatever it is.
Right.
Like I had a lady, I built like a 5 foot by 5 foot square table, and I made it look all nice and used, I forget what kind of wood I used. But it was like this nice wood, and I got it all flattened out. I took it to like industrial like carpentry shop, got it all flattened, all the stuff. And I got it all set up, and she wanted it gray. So I stained it gray. It was this really cool looking, but you could see all the grain. It was really cool. I sent her a picture of it. She goes, I don't know if it's dark enough. And I was like, I can put on a second coat if you want, but you're going to lose some of that grain. She's like, okay. So I put a second coat on, which the grain still popped through, but not as much. And I sent her, she's like, I'm thinking maybe we should just paint it gray. And I was like, paint it? You want me to just paint the top? I was like, at that point, we should just use cheaper wood. Like, why did you pay all this money if we're going to paint it? Like, this makes sense. And she's like,
That's funny.
And so I talked her. Luckily, I talked her out. I was like, I think you should just leave the stain. And she was like, oh, okay, all right. But I was like, oh gosh, man, it's a bad call to me. I don't think that's the smartest
Not to
idea.
mention, you probably can't paint over stain.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would have either had to sand it down, so it was like I had a good base and it was roughed up, and then painted it. Like it would have been a disaster, and I would have just charged her more and more.
Right.
But people,
Brandon, what did you use to finish the countertop? That looked awesome. Was it Rubio?
The vanity top?
Yeah, the vanity top.
That's the finish that we're going to be selling at my day job.
Oh, really?
ooh.
Yeah.
Dude,
I can't reveal it.
Gotcha.
No,
that looked really, really nice.
It's nothing
man.
crazy. It's basically like
Sign
it's
me
just
up. Just saying,
right?
I'll be a
No,
test
it'll
dummy.
come out. It'll come out within the next few months. He's been using it for probably like 2 years now.
Okay.
So he just wanted to get some
really
time.
good on that.
Yeah,
It looked
it's
really nice.
it's super, dude. It's so easy to apply. It's
Yeah.
it's just another oil wax blend kind of deal.
Okay.
But there's no like accelerator or anything you have to mix with it. It's just straight out the jar, and then it's clear, so it doesn't have that yellow tint at all.
Right.
But if you want to tint it, you could, like put pigment powder in, I mean, not pigment powder, but like that powder you can mix with like Odie's or whatever they use. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never used Odie's, but that kind of stuff. You can do that with this too. He does that. So it turns it into like almost a stain plus finish.
Gotcha.
So we
What's
did that
the- what's the
on
cure
an
time?
end table.
know
About that
yet.
long. I don't know.
Like, well,
I
like,
mean,
so like when you use like certain oils, right? Like linseed oil, like the actual cure time's
Right.
like 2 weeks. So it's like a long.
Yeah, and it could be like that. Like I know if you use Rubio without the accelerator, it's taking like a week or more
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. But with
Oh,
it, it's
really?
like a couple, 2 or 3 days.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why that's the only thing. Everybody's like, oh, it's not going to cure without the accelerator. I'm like, it's just an accelerator. It's not like it's not like a catalyst type thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's still going to cure, it just takes longer. So
Like-
that's why when people get the Rubio or what, and this is the same type of thing. If you scratch it, you can stay in just that one spot and then refinish that, and then it'll blend right in.
Oh,
And the
that's
cool thing with this is you can sand it as high as you want. And it's not like like some of the others, you have to only sand to like 150 or 180.
That was my
Like
next
he's
question. Yeah.
Yeah, the conference table that we have in the little showroom, conference room thing at work, that's been on there for over a year now, I'm pretty sure. And I think that's thing sanded to like 400, and it
Oh,
looks
wow.
great. Looks just like the day you put it on. So
that's really cool.
yeah,
That's
I can't
awesome.
wait to get that out there to people, and I'll be in charge of kind of like pushing it to influencers and stuff. So
Yeah.
Gotcha.
See, I had when I did my parents' oak dining table, I used Rubio, and when I went to put it on, I had several comments say, "Why didn't you use the accelerator?" And I was like, "Well, because I'm not like in a time crunch." So I was like, I just figured why, and I was like, I'm not gonna deal with it. I'm just gonna put it on and use it. So I did. And then I just told my parents, even they don't live in the house that's going in yet, like they're moving semi soon. So I was like, well, when I go over there, I'm just going to put a tablecloth on it, like on top, and we're just going to just not mess with it with like a week or two. And then they took it off later and it was fine. It's like, you don't have to use it, but
Right.
it unless it's time crunch, like you have clients and you want to get it out and you want to know it's not going to get messed up.
yeah,
What's the cure time
Yeah.
with the accelerator?
I think it's like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it's pretty
Okay.
fast.
So it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think I don't remember. I talked to them before and asked them, but I can't remember exactly what the time is if you don't use it. And I'm sure it's probably dependent on your climate and all that crap.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
Mhm.
but yeah, and it's also weird with that stuff. It's like the accelerator, if you use, like, it's supposed to be a 3-to-1 thing, but if you use it exactly 3-to-1, you'll run out of accelerator way before you run out of the oil. So I'm like, what is the deal? And then their answer is basically like, oh, it's supposed to be approximately 3-to-1. I'm like, so it really doesn't matter. There's like, no, it's not like epoxy. Like, you don't have to get it's just an accelerator. So like I don't know if it's like the more you put in, the quicker it does, or I don't know how it works, but
Gotcha.
I've basically just been doing like between 2 and 3-to-1 and just I've gotten good enough now where I'm like, I use syringes when I do it. So I'll do like 3 10-millimeter squirts of the oil and then like 1 8 or 9 of the accelerator. And that seems to work out pretty good.
Everybody that uses the Rubio seems to swear by it. I talked to Built by Stevie, who's one of the local woodworkers here, and she loves it. She uses it on everything, and almost has me. I've never used it before, but I really want to kind of give it a shot and see. I'd be really interested to use that stuff that you're coming out with.
Yeah, for sure. I like it because it goes on so easy. You just like put it on, you wipe it on with a rag or whatever, and then just let it sit for like 10 minutes and then wipe off the excess. It's kind of like the walrus oil type stuff.
Yeah.
Same type of application, but it's not like that. I don't know. It's hard to, I've only used it on this one thing, so I can't really speak for it too much, but he swears by it, and he doesn't he hates Rubio.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it's only because he doesn't like mixing it, I think.
Yeah.
He just likes to get it out of the jar and use it. But, yeah.
So,
I love Rubio. I don't know if I'll use the colored stuff very much anymore because it's so hard to predict what color it's actually going to be. And if you buy samples like off Amazon, it's like $15 for a little tiny sample bottle. But what's cool is I talked the hardwoods dealer here into carrying it, and they have like way more samples than I even knew Rubio had, and they're like $3. So now it's cool. So if I need to go grab a sample, I can, which is cool. But it does seem to take a lot more of the like Rubio with the color for some reason than it does with like pure. And it's like more expensive. So I get like the 350 milliliter cans, and like the pure does last way longer. Like I can do like way more with that one can of pure. Plus it's like $50 or 55, and the colored stuff's like 70 or something crazy. It's way more.
Gotcha. And for anybody who doesn't know or ever worked with Rubio, of course I haven't either, but you don't have to use anything beyond that. You just put Rubio on it if you use one with color in it or not, and then that's it. You're done. You don't have to put a clear coat on top of it. No polyurethane, nothing like that.
It's a hardening wax / oil finish.
Right.
And it looks a lot more natural. There's no real sheen to it or anything.
Right.
But
which makes it very appealing.
They do have a pre-color too. So if you don't like the colored stuff is colored, but it's like real transparent, I would say. So it does change the color of the wood, but it's not like a stain. So they have like a pre-color that's a stain also, if you want to do that before. But you also, I found out you can't put Rubio on over like regular stain because it's oil based, and it won't allow it to soak in, or at least they didn't recommend it. I don't know.
Gotcha. I got a couple picnic table builds that's coming up that I need to build larger picnic tables, and I'm thinking about going up. We have a local cedar mill, and I'm thinking about getting cedar and building them out of cedar. And I'm trying to do a little bit of research on it was me. I hit my mic. Trying to do a little research on what kind of finish I want to put on them to be outdoors. What's going to last the longest? Which is going to be the best for cedar. So I'm in the process of doing a little bit of that right now.
I know there's a company
good luck with that.
Yeah, I know there's a company here in Utah. I found it's a small company. I'll send you I can't remember what the name is. I'll have to find it. But that's all they do is make like finishes for outdoor stuff, and they're a smaller company. But I reached out to them. Their stuff looks awesome, and they a lot of the time use cedar to put it on because it's outdoors. So I'll send you. I can't remember what their name is. Maybe I'll look it up right now while we're here.
Yeah. Actually, Rubio does have like an outdoor version but I found out. I talked to him and I found out that you have to use a colored one because the UV whatever is only in the pigments of the color. It's not in the actual oil itself.
Gotcha.
So I don't know how good or bad it is. I've never used it, but
gotcha.
That might be something to look into. And then otherwise, I typically just use like spar urethane.
Spar urethane was kind of my go-to, but I wanted to kind of check around, see if there's anything that was better. Or more recommended by other people and stuff. So
There probably is.
yeah, there's no telling. When you get into that stuff, there's so much preference. People have had this experience with one thing, that experience with another. But I always try to do my due diligence and research as best I can and see what other people think. Talk to other guys like y'all too. I mean, somebody may have used something that didn't work out at all. So
Yeah, on that park bench I restored, I used that the stuff from Moss. I can't remember what the heck it's called now, but it's like a marine varnish type stuff.
Yeah.
And it's holding up really well, but it was like a pain in the butt to apply. It was so thick but I probably was doing it wrong. I think you're probably supposed to spray it, but I did not. So that could have been part of it. But it's also really glossy, like it's for boats. So
gotcha.
Yeah, something like that might be good if you want to deal with spraying it. But
yeah,
I was talking to like Charles about that because he used to do a lot of outdoor stuff, and he said pretty much no matter what you use, after like 3 or 4 years, you got to refinish it anyway if you want to keep looking good. So
right. When I was looking around, I saw where the Wood Whisperer I think he made a cedar table, and it was years ago. And then he had done another follow-up video where he was having to redo it, sand it all down and reapply. I think that he was just using spar urethane in that one. I'm pretty sure. But that was one of the ones that I saw.
Yeah, I know Matt Cremona made like an outdoor farmhouse table, but I cannot remember what finish he put on there.
Gotcha. What are you going to do on the tables and the benches?
I did that charcoal Rubio on the top, and then she's actually going to paint the bases.
Oh, gotcha.
So I just filled all the knots with Bondo, surprisingly. I hit up Chad from Earl's Woodworks because he does all that. He does a lot of painted bases, and I was like, I didn't even think about it when I got the wood, because I usually just fill it with epoxy, and then I was like, paint's probably not going to stick to epoxy that good. Like, I don't know, it might. But
I don't think it does.
I wouldn't imagine. Yeah, it would probably run off or something, but maybe if you roughed it up, I don't know. But anyway, he said that he used Bondo on it, and I was like, what? And then I started thinking about it, and I asked my buddy that works at a cabinet shop, and he's like, yeah, we just use Bondo. If it's a bigger area, like knot holes in alder and stuff, that's what they use. If it's going to be painted.
Paint sticks to it.
Yeah. Well, it's on cars.
Yeah. What about you, Jesse? What you working on?
Well, I've been working on my outdoor theater for like a month and a half. And so
that thing is so awesome.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, it's fun.
I'm so jealous.
It's fun. We just watched Top Gun out there. Basically, we've been on this old classic movie kick. So we've watched Back to the Future, Top Gun. We watched was it? No, I want to say Dirty Dancing. It wasn't Dirty Dancing. It's too risque for out there. What was it? Footloose. We watched Footloose out there, and we also
good for you. Every movie that came out before you were born. That's awesome.
Right? Yeah. A good one. I was like, you were in your 30s when you watched those movies, by the way. Yeah, but no, it's been really fun. So we've been having like movie nights with all the family. I mean, with no movie theaters open. I was like, well, I was trying to figure it out because my whole yard is a big rectangle, right? So I was like, I don't want to do all grass because it's going to be just a pain in the butt and it's expensive and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't want to do that. So I sectioned off a big grass area. It's like 80 by 40 feet. And so it's still a good amount of grass. And then I have like the pergola area on one side with like the play area. And then the other side's a big driveway all the way back from my trailer. And so then I had these two sections in the back. And we're like, I don't know what to do. If we want to do a garden on one side. So I was like, okay, well, I'll be doing that. But that won't be till next year. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this big 40 by 40 space. So then we just were kind of thinking about it. And we actually made the decision before even coronavirus hit. But I'm kind of glad we did because now you don't go to movie theaters. Like, not that we went all the time anyway, but like all our family did. And so now everyone comes over to our house. We just put on a movie and we just watch it. And now with premieres, like movie premieres coming out on digital and you can just stream it. I can just stream it. You know what's awesome?
That's cool.
Is that I wanted to stream stuff and to get it out there
I know where this
on
is going.
Amazon. You can buy 150 feet of Ethernet
For those of you
cable.
listening, Jesse is holding up the biggest roll of Ethernet cable you've ever seen.
Basically,
Yeah.
Jesse looks just like in Christmas Vacation, where Clark Griswold pulls up those Christmas lights and doing those balls. That's what Jesse looks like when he picks that.
That's basically it. So
much.
I ran an Ethernet cable from like the front of my house where my router is through the house or through the shop because it was on that wall. So up to the ceiling, ran it across the ceiling, ran it all the way to where my office is, then ran it the wall and have a splitter. And so now I hook it up. I'll run 150 feet all the way out to where the outdoor theater is and then do it that way. That's not permanent. That's temporary. Next year, when I put in sprinklers, I'm also going to be digging a trench for power out there to like set up power for my trailer. So before we go camping, we can plug it in without running extension cords out there. So I'll have power to my shed plus like the whole outdoor theater and have plugins everywhere. So that's the plan. And when we do that, that's what's going to go in that big tube with all the electrical is my Ethernet. So I'll have Ethernet directly out there. So I figure I can use it now, but it'll end up being underground eventually. But right now it works great. It's a lot of fun.
Have you irritated your neighbors yet?
No, I haven't. Well, nobody said anything, but like we talked this pre-show, like last show. Brandon and I just don't even talk to our neighbors. Like I wave and I'm like, I'm friendly. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Yep. Then they start walking towards me. I'm like, I gotta go inside. See ya. Apparently JP, he goes around.
You're like, I got the Rona. Yeah, stay on your own driveway.
No, Jesse P, he's over there just having dinner with his neighbors every single night. We're like, hey, you want to do the podcast? Night. He's like, no, I'm busy with Glenda down the street. We're having dinner over there. It's like, okay, all right.
My extended neighbor family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a pretty good tight-knit group around
here. It's that southern thing.
It is. Everybody,
us guys on the West Coast are like, stay in your yard. We have don't
tall
come
fences.
Over here.
We're like, don't look at my stuff.
Jesse P's like, just take the fence down. We'll share everything. It'll be fine.
No, I don't have a fence in my backyard right now. I got one.
I was on the phone with Jesse P one time, and he's just sitting there, and then I hear this kid yelling. I'm like, what is going on? And then he's just like, oh, that's my neighbor kid. He comes over, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I'd be so mad if my neighbor's kids just came over all the time, bugging the crap out of me.
That's my little buddy. He comes over and jumps in the shop with me. Sometimes I'll have to put on. He's like 3. I have to put on some kind of cartoon or something in my shop TV, and he'll sit him on the bar stool, and he'll just sit there and watch TV while I work in the shop.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Cool.
Yeah. Every 4th of July, I cook. I'll probably cook, like 6 Boston butts, like 6 or 7 racks of ribs. And
did you say Boston butts
out in the street?
What's a Boston butt?
Yeah,
I don't know what that is. Never even heard about Boston butt.
It's kind of like you not having tri-tip.
Yeah, it's crazy. Which I didn't know.
So Boston.
Wait,
it's a pork shoulder.
It's a what? Oh, pork shoulder. So it's just pork butt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
pork shoulder, pork butt. Yeah. But that's weird you call it Boston butt. That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Boston butt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so apparently Jesse and I are really Jesse P and I are really into barbecue, smoking stuff. Yeah. Brandon's like a barbecue virgin. Like he's getting there. Like he's the first time he got like a 4-set burner, he was like, how do I hook up the gas? I don't know. And I was like, all right, let me walk you through. Yeah.
So, if we're being real honest, I only used 3 of them still out of the 5. So,
but so we're like super into it, and I love tri-tip. It's one of my favorite things to smoke. Yeah. Apparently, if you're on the East Coast, this is according to Jesse P, you can't get it. Like it's hard to get tri-tip. Here in the West Coast, you get it everywhere. Everywhere has tri-tip.
I think it's anywhere east of like Colorado,
really,
or somewhere.
Because it's delicious. It's the best thing to smoke.
I never even had heard of it, and then I finally found it here, and it was amazing. Dude, I loved it.
Tri-tip sandwiches are the best. You smoke them for like 3 hours tops, and they're perfect. So like going camping, I have my small Traeger that's like electric portable. It's amazing. And I was smoking.
I'm gonna get one of those.
You should. Yeah, I got you a code, so I'll tell you after the show. But
I got a code too, Jesse.
Actually, oh, that's right. You do have a code. It's like, hey, Brandon, if you want a code, I'm just giving out codes, everybody. No, so
all the codes.
That thing's amazing. First of all, it's fantastic. But when we go camping, it's perfect because you don't want to be smoking like all day camping because then you have to like be by the smoker. Right. But for 3 hours, it's easy. You just freaking have a campfire, smoke a tri-tip, and then you cut it, and you have either just tri-tip or tri-tip sandwiches. Dude, it's fantastic. Everybody loves it. We've had it every time we go camping.
I should
definitely get into grilling more because I feel like less of a man around you guys.
a little bit.
I'm like, I don't drink. No, I don't smoke cigars. And now I'm like, oh, I don't barbecue. I got to do one of the three things.
You don't drink beer or anything? I can't
be on the podcast anymore. No, my stomach doesn't allow it.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. I used to, and I would enjoy to, but it's just not worth the stomach pain it causes.
It's rare in the summertime that I'm not doing all three of those things at the same time on my back porch. Right. All three of them.
There you go.
It's understandable, actually.
Hey man, I use that Traeger. I got that Traeger and I use it for everything. I mean, I love it.
Me too.
It's just like my oven now. I use it more than my oven. I cook breakfast casseroles on it, smoke butts on it, do ribs, anything. I mean, I chickens, love it. But I still keep around. I have my homemade. I did one of the ugly drum smokers.
Yeah.
Probably I don't know, like 7 or 8 years ago. That's all I had for a long time. I made it for about $100 with an old stick welder and. Man, I still have that thing and I love it.
I think you made like a video on it, didn't you?
I did a video on like kind of showing it, but I'm planning on building a new one and I'm going to do like a how-to video on how to build it because it is such a good smoker for somebody who can't afford like a pellet smoker or anything right now, a good starter smoker. I mean, I've done up to like 6 8-pound Boston butts on it at one time. Pork shoulders on it at one time. Great. So it holds quite a bit.
That's fantastic.
Boston butts.
And it cooks it really, really well because you use charcoal and then you put in as many wood chips as you want down on the bottom, and does a good job. So I know this isn't a barbecue podcast, but
it can be. By the way, I'm totally for it.
You don't have you? So do you have French dips there?
Like a sandwich?
Yeah.
Because
that's what they put on them out here is tri-tip.
Really?
What do you put? No. What do they put on there?
No, it's not usually tri-tip. I think it's like
isn't it like roast beef?
Yeah, it's like beef. It's a sort of it's like a roast beef. So
here there's a lot of places that do them with tri-tip, but I guess they do call them like tri-tip dips or tri-tip sandwiches, but it's the same thing. You just dip it at nausea.
The cuts are pretty similar on like how you cut the meat. It's pretty similar. So like a tri-tip's like kind of known. Listen, I'm not a barbecue expert, so someone can yell at me.
Whatever, you got a whole Instagram about barbecue.
Well, it's me and my brothers, and we just post on it like the stuff we make. But so it's not like I never tried to do instructional stuff barbecue because I'm still like I just started like a year ago, really getting into it. But tri-tip's kind of like the poor man's brisket. Brisket takes 8 hours, but you can cut it kind of similar. You can make sandwiches. You can eat it plain. And so, when I went to Chicago, we went and we had this sandwich, right? And they were like, "Hey, do you want that wet or dry?" And I was like, "Well, I don't want dry meat. I don't know what that means, but I'll just take it wet." And then, like, apparently, what that means is that they just soak the bun, everything directly into grease, and then wrap it up and just give it to you. And I was like, "Oh, this is disgusting." And then I ate it and I was like, "Oh, this ain't that bad. Never mind. I'd take it back." But it was still kind of gross. Like I didn't like the bun all soggy, but
soggy.
It was all right. I felt weird after.
There's a sandwich shop here that does sort of that. They use like brioche buns or whatever those are, like a hamburger bun, but it's like a different kind of bread, whatever. And so they ask if you want it dipped or double dipped, kind of the same thing, but they dip like just the face of it in au jus.
Is that what it is?
Both of them, and then it's pretty good. I mean,
sounds good. I
wouldn't get it like I wouldn't want the whole sandwich dipped.
Yeah,
but
this is like they dunk the whole thing in and they bring it back out and hand it to you. Yeah, it's a little iffy. Yeah. It's basically a French dip, but they do it for you.
Chicago's got some amazing food.
Pre-dip too.
They do. Love going there for some food.
Yeah. The pizza was fantastic. It was good. You know what? To be fair, I thought the deep dish was good, but I grew up every Sunday. My mom made homemade pizza every Sunday. We'd watch football and eat homemade pizza, and she'd make deep dish, and I was like, it's still like it's not as good as my mom's, like, and I don't know if it's just like but my mom would make it thicker. She'd be almost basically make like a casserole. It's basically a lasagna without the pasta noodles. It's just breading and meat and all that stuff. It was fantastic. And so when I went there, I had it. I was like, this is good, but it's not like this is like the best thing in the world type thing. But it's still good food.
I like it. That Illuminati's pizza up there is some of my absolute favorite in the world. Now, I'm not going to sit here and compare New York style to Chicago style. I like them both. They're separate. I don't want to say I like one better than the other and lose 20 out of our 23 followers here.
Yeah.
We appreciate our tens of followers.
Yes. Yeah. So, but they're both unique, but that Illuminati's pizza up there is just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what we had one of those, and then we end up having Geo's, I think is what it's called, Geo's East or something like that. So we had that as well. So
Jesse P's frozen.
That's okay. We'll just keep talking.
Right.
Yeah. As you can see, Jesse P, he has a problem with his alcohol as he continues to freeze frame. If you're just listening, yeah. He's back. Never mind. Sorry. If you were just listening,
just my internet froze on him.
Jesse P froze. If you're listening, Jesse P froze with the glass up to his mouth. It was fantastic. So
all of my internet.
What are you working on, Jesse? We didn't even ask. We didn't even ask you. What are you working on?
Well, right now I'm working on the next YouTube video. Putting in a bench vise on the side of my bench using some micro jig stuff. But more than that, I'm working on. I think we're going to move next week, so got a lot going on. Yeah, we are. We're in a very weird situation, but we bought our neighbor's house, so I'm moving.
So is
but
it
not
like
far.
your direct neighbor or like down the street?
Like direct neighbor, like not
so
going
is
to need
that
a
like
truck.
the one you hang out with all the time?
It is. It is.
Now who are you going to hang out with?
I'm going to hang out with him because he bought the house across the street and he's going to move across the street.
Oh my gosh. No one's ever leaving.
It's a weird neighborhood, everybody. He's like, yeah, it's cool. We have all these parties where everyone puts their keys in a bowl. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like, that's what it sounds like, buddy.
Yeah. Well, no one has to drive. They just walk around.
It was a unique situation where the house across the street came up for sale. It was something they always wanted. They said that they were going to look at buying that house, and I needed to get my father-in-law and mother-in-law over in this neighborhood where we could help them because they're a little bit older and they need some more help. And, we're already mowing the grass and taking care of the house. So I said, okay, well, that's good. If y'all do that, I'll buy your house because it's a bigger house than mine. We'll move over there. I can take care of that house and they can move into our house, and then I can take care of this one as well. So I can still mow the grass and keep everything up. Our current house is one story and kind of a smaller house. So it'll be great for them. And I'll be able to kind of help everybody out at one time. And the good news is I don't have to move my shop. I can leave my shop in where it is right now, but take out a lot of the stuff that I don't need, like my lawnmower, kids' hockey nets, rollerblades, all that stuff gets to come out and go in my garage, and I can just leave my woodworking garage.
So are they both the same size garages?
No, the house that I'll be moving into will have a slightly smaller garage, but not by much. The problem with that one is if I had to put my wood shop over there is lighting is, of course, when you're trying to do videos and stuff, is a big deal. It has really, really tall ceilings in that garage, and lighting would be an issue.
So you should get like the LED ones that hang down. You know what I mean? I actually have ones. Yeah. The ones I have, they were pretty cheap. I love the lighting in my shop, and I got like an 8-pack of them for like $120. It was very but they're like 4 feet long. They're 2 LED things, all the stuff. They daisy chain to each other. So they're not the best looking up top, but they also they come with the chain so you can hang them. So they're lower. So that might be something that you can do. So you can lower them down and then do that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully if this works out, then I can just keep the shop where it is and kind of have a nice place to go over and work. It'd be kind of like having a separate shop in your backyard kind of deal. So, except for it'd be next door.
There you go.
So it'd be good.
Set
but
up
in
one
the next
for
2
a
weeks,
metal
I've
shop now.
Yeah. I want to get back into welding.
That'd be cool.
But in the next 2 weeks, I got to do a lot of moving some furniture. So that should be fun.
Sounds no fun at all.
Sounds like you need to buy new stuff and just leave your stuff in the house.
Yeah. I've already got to buy this new house. There's no new stuff coming in.
See, so last time we moved, we sold our house a little over 2 years ago, our very first house we bought. And I do miss it a little bit because the view was gorgeous. Like the backyard view was the best view you could ever ask for. But we we sold it because it was like good market. Within 2 years, it spiked up. So we made a bunch of money on it. Then we moved into my in-laws' house because they hadn't moved yet. They bought a house and hadn't moved. So we're like, we'll live there for a year because it was going to be a year before they moved in. So I was like, we'll save all this money, all this stuff. So we moved all our stuff from that one house to this house. And then 2 months later, we found a house, the house we live in now, for a good deal. So we ended up moving again within 2 months. And my wife almost killed me. Like, for real. Like, we're on the verge of divorce. She was just like, oh, God, this is horrible. So now I'm basically stuck in this house for about at least probably 10 years because, well, and then if my backyard, all the crap I've done to my backyard, it's like, I'm not moving for a while.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, if you do, you'll have made money. So
yeah, for sure. It looks so much better.
The good news is in the house that I'm moving into is everything that's in it, like all the built-in cabinets, the post underneath the bars, all that stuff, I built it.
Oh,
so
cool.
Oh, yeah,
nice.
It's true.
That's really nice.
Yeah, over the years. Yeah, so I've done all the built-ins in it and everything over the years, and because it's my friends that live there, and I've always done it for them. So get a lot of my stuff already in there. So it's cool. Actually, I think I've built more things for that house than I have for
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the makers never have their own stuff.
Yeah. Well, hey, we got some questions from some listeners, which is pretty cool. So we appreciate all the questions you guys submitted, but we'll go over a few of them. Jesse, you want to read one of them?
If you do want to send us questions, do it over Instagram. You could send it to the podcast Instagram or any of us individually as well.
Yeah, the Instagram is probably the most direct. Obviously, you can send to either three of us. And then we do have a long, ridiculously long email that Jesse set up called it's contact gbspodcast@gmail.com. He'll never remember it, so I'll throw it up on the screen, but just so we have it.
Look, it was the best option. There's a lot of GBS podcasts out there, and it was tough. All right. So our first question comes from Marksmans_Woodshop, and it is talk about the first time that you had to go on camera.
Oh.
Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll talk about kind of when I started, I kind of talked about it last time, I think, but when I first started,
before we started the show.
Oh, was it? Okay, see, so. That's one issue of us talking all the time.
I know.
So that, like, when I first started Instagram, I just started doing pictures. That was the whole point, was just do pictures and just to maybe get more clients. I didn't know really what I was going to do. I obviously do a lot of content now. That's all I focus on. And it's not any really client work. But before it was like, oh, let's do as many clients as possible and let's get it done. So anyway, so I was just doing pictures. And then I decided one of these days, I was like, I wonder if me being in the thing, because I started seeing people like Got Woodworks, which Matt works for Tools Today. Matt's awesome, really good guy. And he had a huge page. He was bigger than any of us back in the day. He was massive. And
now he's just gone.
Yeah.
Well, now he's always on the Tools Today thing.
Yep. And that thing's exploded. Yeah. He does really good stuff.
That's for sure.
When he was doing his channel, like solely, he was in every single video and he'd like show how to do things. And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. He's really successful. Maybe I'll mimic that. Right. And so I started doing it. And the very first one I did, I ever used Miles Craft. They have this jig that you can hook up to your
like a drill press one.
Yeah, and it's like a drill press. So I did these dog holes, and like that's the very first video I did, and I actually talked to the camera. I remember that. Yeah, it actually like did okay for me back in there, but I remember being like, gave my phone, the wife my phone. I was like, hey, film me. And she's like, why? And I was like, I'm trying something, And dude, it took me like 6 takes to say like the first 4 words. And then I finally did, then I went in and did it. And it was like, oh, okay, but it was so awkward. And I used to like try to perfect my stories and all this stuff. It was so uncomfortable. And now it's like, I just don't even care. I just talk. And if it's weird, it's weird. And it's me. It's not like performed or anything. So it's gotten a lot better, but first starting out, if you're like all skittish on camera, dude, I had to like talk to Brandon a lot before he would do anything with himself. He was just, you know what I mean? He wouldn't talk to people. He wouldn't do stories. And it was like, I was like, dude, do stories. Stories are important. Just do them. And he finally started doing them and he freaking blew up.
I don't remember that.
Really? Yeah, you were talking to me. You're like, oh, isn't it awkward? You basically asked this exact same question because I started it a little before you did. And I was like, I don't know. I just feel like if people know you, they're going to care about your stuff more. And you're,
Right.
and I was like, and you're like, but what do you say? I don't know what to say. It was fantastic.
Now
but
I
like
need stories every single time in the shop.
yep. It gets more natural the more you do it. Like
Yeah,
anything
for
else,
sure. I
but-
still mess up all the time.
Yeah.
I'm still like, it's horrible. My girlfriend laughs at me all the time because she sees me like redo it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I'll get like
Right.
halfway through
Yeah, I
and
was
I'm
gonna
like,
say-
forget what I was even talking about and start all over.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I was going to say my first time on camera was exactly like the time that I was on camera about an hour before I sat down to do this podcast because I just mess it up 1,000 times every
Mhm.
time. But it's like y'all were saying, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And then sometimes there'll be days where you're terrible at it. And I don't care
Right.
what you do, you're just going to be
Yep.
bad at it. And I just got to stop, put my stuff down, turn the camera off and go do
Mhm.
something. Go do something else, whether it's, work on a project or go play with the kids, hang out for a while, whatever. And then you come back and it's completely different. Like completely different. You just knock it out in 15 minutes. And you're like, what was wrong with me earlier?
Same with anything though. I'm finding
but-
that because I'm trying to learn that Fusion
Yeah.
360 right now, and I'm just gonna get like so frustrated because I don't know. I swear I have ADD or something because I'll be like, I'm doing what you're saying and it's not working. I get so mad, and so I'm like, you know what? Screw. Like last night, I'm like, I am done, and I just close my laptop, and then today I get on there and it's just like easy. I'm like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
You just gotta refresh
I
your
would say-
brain, I guess.
Yeah. And I'd say some of the best advice, what I had to do, because I've never been comfortable, I would say, on camera. No matter how comfortable I look, I'm not comfortable.
Me
on
either at all.
it. Is I kind of had to start slow and work my way into it. So on Instagram with short videos, no talking or anything, just me on camera working and doing that. And then, step it up a little bit and explain something for 2 seconds. And then from there, kind of, you know what I mean? Kind of integrate more and more and more into it. And then before you know it, you're doing an intro and you're talking all the way through it. And then you're doing a step-by-step video with a lav mic on your collar, talking the whole time, and getting better and better at it. I'm going to be honest. One of the best ones that I know at it that can just put a mic on and unscripted talk is Jason Bent with Bent's Woodworking. He's unbelievable at it. He can just put a mic on and just talk, and he doesn't fumble. He doesn't get off track. He knows exactly what he's saying. He's to the point, unscripted. It's pretty unbelievable, which is probably why he just hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube right now. Which congratulations,
Congrats,
Jason.
man.
That's pretty amazing.
Insane.
Yeah, if you watch any of his
and,
IG live videos, it's super natural, and I'm jealous because on every time I've done an IG live, it's been so like I don't know what to say when there's so much dead air and all this stuff. So I mean, like we're nowhere, like I'm nowhere near an expert at all. But I look towards those guys and like, oh, these guys are acting like it's not even a camera. They're just like talking to it like it's a class of people or buds or whatever it is, and they're just like, hey, I'm just gonna explain something, and it's so much better. But
Yeah, I don't do IG lives because of that. I get on there and I'm like, so here we are. It's like, I don't know what to talk about half the time. And it's awkward.
Yeah. I do much better with interaction. Like I think if I had somebody running my camera versus just sitting on a tripod, I'd probably do a lot better because I just do a lot better with interaction. But yeah, I'm not quite there yet to have somebody running my camera.
No. Yeah. I looked back through my Instagram feed and I was trying to think about the first time I was on camera, and that I was super nervous about it too, because I did like a giveaway. I was like, oh, I want to do a giveaway. I don't remember what, I think it was like 5 when I got 5K followers or something. And so I did a giveaway, and then I was like, well, I should do like a not a live. I don't think they had lives then, but do a video to show that I'm not like cheating and trying to pick whoever, So I did this like videoing as I was picking them. And so, oh my God, I watched it the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to delete that. It was horrid. You could tell I was super nervous and it was so awkward. And I was like, hey guys, so yeah, we're here, doing the giveaway. Like it was so dumb.
Well, we got another question from
moral of the story,
Wild Brit, and at Wild Brit on Instagram, and they asked how to properly finish a live edge. So I don't know exactly what she's talking about, or he or she.
I think the picture was a girl, but
that's what I kind of figured with Brit. But so I don't know if she's talking about just because I get a lot of the time questions on how to preserve bark, right? Like if they want the bark on the side.
Don't
Yeah,
ever
that's usually what I've been like. I know you can preserve for a little bit, but it will fall off. It's dead. That's what, so it's gonna fall off eventually. And so usually like last week I said you should go contact the stump shop, and that was actually one of them. I was like, you should go talk to him. I was like, as far as I know, I just take it off because I know it's gonna fall off eventually.
Yeah.
Right.
But if she's talking about just like how to finish just like a walnut one or whatever, you just finished a live edge for your countertop, didn't you?
It's not live edge, but I've done plenty of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you typically use for finish? Because you've done, I think, a lot more than I have.
I don't know if she's talking about or he or whoever is talking about like actual finish, but like maybe how to prep it for finish as well. So like what I do a lot of the times is, especially because there'll be like bark inclusions and stuff in the wood, I dig them out with the chisel and then I'll like try to blend it in with the sander. So most of the time, I don't leave it looking super natural. A lot of times I'll sand it back so that way I can blend in certain areas that were not necessarily live edge, but it'll all look the same. Like I'm doing that at work right now when we're putting these two slabs together. I'll use like the Cuts-All shaping dish and kind of like carve to make it look like it was live edge and then sand it in, and it actually looks really good. Like it blends in really well. But if you're trying to keep it really natural, they make these like sanding, they're almost like a flap wheel, like for a grinder, but it's like a bunch of loose little abrasive arms that come out. I think they actually call it like the octopus or something weird like that. I've only seen it on Amazon, and my buddy that I work for, he uses them, and it's like it just swings around as you run the drill, and so it gets down into all the little crevices really well. So yeah, getting into those is important. Getting all the dirt and bugs and bark and everything out of there is important before you put it on finish, obviously. And then like you're saying, I always take the bark off. I have seen people leave it on, like even Matt with those pencil holders, he always left it on, but I think he was using like penetrating epoxy, and so it like soaked into the bark and adhered it to the wood. But unless you're doing something like, and even then, I don't know how well that would work, but there's certain times of the year, depending on when the tree was fell, if it's going to stay on better than not. But I always just take it off. I don't really care for the look of it. And it's just an invite for bugs, and it's just going to fall off eventually if you don't do something to make it stick on. So, yeah.
To take it off, do you use a draw knife or do you use just a chisel?
I don't have a draw knife, surprisingly.
Neither do I.
No.
Oh, really?
No, I just use a chisel usually, and then, like I said, I usually take it back far enough to where I have to sand it anyway. So I'm usually not that careful with that. I just get it off as fast as possible.
The draw knife's usually the most fun part about working with
a live edge. It always looks really cool. Plus, you get really cool slow-mo videos, like content-wise.
Yeah.
Cool. I need to
be honest,
get one.
Like the last few slabs I've worked with, they already have the bark gone. Like it just has fallen off during the drying process.
I say most of the time you just reach up and pull it off.
Yeah, but I have had ones that are really hard to get off, like that spalted pecan stuff I did. That was super. It was on there. So I don't know if it was like fell. I think it's in the wintertime. If you cut it in the wintertime, it's more apt to stay on than if you do it in the summer because of the wood swelling and moisture in it or whatever. I don't know. But
well, I think we got that question in. So next question comes from Johns_customs, and that's at Johns_customs on Instagram. It says, how do you balance work, life, and family with shop time? Jesse, you want to go ahead and start that one off?
Yeah, so I made shop time my career, and that's how I balance it.
Next.
Move on. There we go.
Like, I have to be at the shop.
Before I went full-time into, content creation and all that stuff, it was a struggle for sure. We already kind of touched on it. Like my wife and I, we just like high-fived and left in between when she worked and I worked nights every single shift, 4 days a week. I worked nights. And so, on the days that I had off, man, I tried to get in as much shop time as I could, but then it's also balancing, trying to figure out, okay, how much time do I put in without feeling guilty that I'm in here and I'm not in there with my wife that I haven't seen? So it's kind of this, I think it's always going to be a struggle. Even today, I'm doing so many different things off of Instagram and off of what you see, you know? And so I'm doing all this different stuff, and it's a balance for sure, you know? And, yeah, I think for me, one thing that's really helped, especially like this last year or so, is just writing stuff down. I feel overwhelmed a lot of the time where I'm like, oh, okay, I got this project for this sponsor. I got to do this project, this YouTube video, Instagram. Oh, I haven't edited any videos for this week. And like you start to get piled up. And every time I just write it down and I just put it in my calendar in my phone, it's like, okay, I got to do this, this, and this today. Okay, tomorrow I can push this. And then I break it down. It's like, oh, I really don't have that much. I'm just putting it all in my head, all as one thing that I need to get done right now. Right. And that's not necessarily what I have to do, you know? And so I've actually started putting in other stuff too, where it's like, okay, I'm going to go on a date this time with my wife on this day. No exceptions, you know, or it's like, I have jujitsu with my son, so we're going to go at this time, Mondays and Wednesdays. No exceptions, you know? And so it's helped because it forces you to take a break. Like that's one thing when I work from home, I just don't take breaks. Like I work all today, like we're recording on a Sunday. All day I worked in my office and out in the yard, and I did stuff. That's all I did. Luckily we were able to get a hike in the morning, which I forced myself to do, you know, and I was like, okay, I'm doing the hike and then I'm working the rest of the day. And it's hard sometimes to tell yourself, at least my personality wise, like I'm always working. I always want to be doing something. So like to be like, take a break and go do something else, you know? And so, I mean, it's always a struggle, but it's gotten better, especially now that I do this full time. Now I don't.
Are you able to actually disconnect though, or are you still thinking of all that? No, I can't do it.
No, it's so hard. You know, you know, that's when like I'm almost to a year of doing this, right? So I stopped last September. If you guys don't know who I am or what I've done before, I was a state trooper for Utah. So I was a law enforcement officer. So I worked swings, and I worked crazy hours and all this stuff. And then I went full time in September. So I went full time about a year ago. And for the first 4 months, I had like really bad anxiety, all this stuff. I felt like I wasn't, because, you know, I was doing everything I'm doing now, but part time. Right. So I was doing it on the side. So I was hustling like crazy. And so like my normal was I wake up at 6 o'clock. I do all this work before I go to work, including watching kids, taking them to school, picking them up, all this stuff. And then 3 o'clock hits, I get ready for work, take a shower or whatever. And then my wife gets home and I go to work for 10 hours. So it was like, and then I wake up, you know, I go to bed at 2, wake up at 6 again. That's just how my schedule was all the time. And so now I don't have that 10-hour gap. And so it was like, I was working and I was like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not working hard enough. And that whole first 4 months, my wife's like, you work all the time, just relax, like take a break. And I was like, I don't think I'm working enough. Because I was doing my, you know, extending it to full time. So, yeah, it's been a real balance for me. But what about you, Jesse? Because I know you have a crazy schedule and you still balance everything.
Yeah, it's tough. Now, I would say that you're talking about writing it down. What recently my wife and I started doing is sharing calendars. We have a calendar that we share and put literally everything in our lives in that calendar. And man, that has helped so much. It can be a bit overwhelming at first when you look at that calendar. There's no days without dots on it, and you're like, oh gosh. But it really, really does help you identify your free time to be able to get in the shop or do whatever it is you want to do, you know, on the side. You know, for years, it just was the fact that I just didn't sleep. You know, for years, I just didn't sleep. For 3 years, trying to bust my butt on Instagram, trying to build a brand, trying to build a website, trying to learn how to video, trying to learn how to edit, trying to learn how to run a website, all that stuff myself because I couldn't afford to pay anybody to do it. I just flat out didn't sleep for a while. I'd never sacrificed family time or my day job for that side stuff because it was my side stuff that I was trying to build and do. And that was tough because it took a lot of sleepless nights, just a lot of going to bed at midnight, waking up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and stuff like that. So now it's gotten a little bit better. Trying to balance it a lot more as far as taking some time off. When I get time in the shop, I make sure I put my head down. I go in there and I work on whatever it is I want to work on, whether I'm just building stuff or I'm videoing or whatever, and put in my headphones and just get it done. And that's the big thing. And, you know, there's so many times before when I was trying to work on Instagram and stuff, where I go down the shop and then I'd pick up my phone, and before I know it, it's 30 or 45 minutes later. I haven't done anything except for answer comments on my phone or talk in a chat, or whatever. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've completely wasted time that I don't have to waste. But I, like I said, for the big thing for me, I just made sure that I always never sacrificed in the places I didn't need to sacrifice, like family or day job or whatever. And I've never come to a point where I did not enjoy walking down in my wood shop. I still don't. I still enjoy it. I still love it. It gets stressful from time to time when I'm trying to meet deadlines. And by deadlines, I mean my own deadlines that I set for myself on having things done by. But it's still good. And I still get a lot of family time in. My son plays hockey. We're there 4 nights a week with him. My daughter's into cheerleading and gymnastics and stuff. We do stuff with her. I still work 40 to sometimes 60 hours a week, depending on, what's going on. So, but it's fun. I enjoy it. The only reason I do this is because I love it. And like Jesse was saying, I just don't stop. I'm always doing something. And I enjoy that though. I love staying active, and I love keeping my mind active. And I love continuing to do stuff like that because it just, I don't know. It just gives me a reason, and I like it.
Yeah.
What about you, Brandon?
Well, I don't have kids, so there's that.
He's like, life's easy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, 6 hours a day. Shut up.
I wish. No, I work 410s now, so it's kind of changed things up a little bit because I've been working there like a month and a half now. But and before my girlfriend worked like nights a lot, so I had tons of time to where I didn't feel like guilty about not spending time with her or anything because she was at work. So I'd just come home, be out in the shop. My old job I got off at 3:30, so I'd just stay in the shop until 8 or 9 at night, and I got all kinds of stuff done. But now we work basically the same schedule, except for I have one extra day off that she doesn't. So I try to utilize that as much as possible. But it's weird now because I don't get home till like 7 o'clock at night. So I don't feel like coming out in the shop after working in a 100-degree shop all day and doing anything out here. It's just like, so I got 3 days to do it on the weekends, and then I don't end up doing anything for myself. So I need to I'm working on the new schedule balance, I guess you could say. But yeah, I think also with like going full, like getting rid of the client builds at home, it's like, okay, I don't have clients and stuff now, but I'm kind of the person that everybody's like, oh, why don't you go full time for yourself? I'm like, I could never do that. I need the structure. Like if I don't have to get up and go to work at 6 a.m, I'm not a morning person at all. So if I don't have to get up, I'm not getting up. Like, no. If I didn't have a day job, I'd be like up at 10, 11, horrible hours. But yeah, so I just got to kind of keep on myself, and like say I use like checklist apps a lot now, and we use an app called Monday at work, so it kind of keeps everybody in the loop of what needs to be done and stuff, and that's really helped a lot. And I've actually implemented that into my own stuff. But I mostly just use check box apps basically. Like I'll make a list, like I'll say like, this is what I need to get done this weekend, and then it makes you feel better too, because then you're like, oh, all right, check that off the list, got that done, So it's kind of a good deal, I think, to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's weird too. Like when I was like, oh, it's strange because you're like, I don't have any time to do. Like I always thought like, oh, I don't have any time to make videos because I got all these client builds to do. And now like I'm nearing the end of that, and I'm thinking like, I'm still not going to get that much done. It doesn't, it seems like, oh, I'm going to have all this time, but then you get it just fills up with other stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
For me, one thing I struggle with a lot, especially because like doing content a lot, you're editing a ton, you're on your computer a ton, whatever it is. And so like for me, I don't feel like I'm working unless I'm working with my hands, like out doing something. Right. So I struggle with being on my computer for like 5 hours, and I feel like I haven't done anything, even though I've like edited a ton and I've done all this stuff, and like, I've done a ton of things, but since it's on a computer, I don't feel like I've been working. Especially on my desk, I have like a little tiny like 19-inch TV or something. I don't even know what size it is, but it has Netflix on. So I'm doing my work while like Netflix shows on. So I feel like I'm being lazy, but I'm actually doing what I have to. So like today, like having my checklist, it was really easy to be like, okay, like I sat here for 3 hours. I'm like, gosh, man, like have I done anything? And it's like, oh wait, yeah, I did that. Okay, I did that. Oh, I did that as well. It's like, okay, I did do something. But for me, it's like mental, like saying, yes, you did actually work.
Right.
because this is your new
It's a sense of
this is what you're doing.
accomplishment that you need.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm the same way. Like yesterday, I'm trying to learn, like I said, trying to learn Fusion 360. So I literally spent like 6 hours in front of my laptop trying to learn it, and then I got done, and I'm like, I did nothing today.
Yep.
But then, like, I'm gonna use that. I can use that with content, with building projects, and I can even use it at work and make myself more valuable there. So it's like something I need to do, but it just takes so much time, and I'm like, I just keep putting it off. Just same thing with that as like getting better at Photoshop or whatever stuff that you're not actually making stuff. It's just weird. I feel the exact same way.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm just wasting time, but really you're just building your skill set.
Yeah. Say every time I feel like I'm getting used to being efficient in the things that I'm doing, I add another layer. Like as soon as I got good at making 20-second, 30-second videos to post on Instagram, and I was just nailing those and getting efficient, then I added YouTube. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I started doing YouTube. And as soon as I started getting efficient in that, I'm like, well, now I got to start doing my own thumbnails. All right. So I added Photoshop, and then went from iMovie over to Premiere and had to start learning Premiere, and then the website.
And they were like, hey, we should start a podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
We're not busy enough
to start a podcast.
I know. I was thinking about that yesterday. I was like, every time I turn around, because I don't know if I like I said, I swear I have like ADD or something, because I'm like, all right, I know how to do this, and I'm like, oh, would it be cool if I started doing this too, and just like keep adding on stuff, and then I end up being a jack of all trades and master of zero.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That you just had the definition of my life right there. But every time I add something new in, it adds a little more of that excitement, though. Like that kind of new excitement feeling of, all right, I'm going to figure this out now, and I'm going to accomplish that.
You're in the honeymoon stage of work.
It's it's a double-edged sword. You add something else to your list, but it gets you re-going again, and gets you excited about what you're doing. And it kind of in turn, everything that's underneath that gets it going a little bit more too.
One thing, Brandon, you talked about was like that you have one extra day off from your girlfriend, right? So like that's kind of how I was for the last 4 years or whatever. And I worked 4 10s, and my wife she's a teacher, so she worked 5 days a week.
Right.
Well, that one day that I had off that she didn't, like, since I want to spend time with my wife, which is a good thing, I want to spend time with her. So it's like I packed all my content, with being focusing on content, being a content creator, you have to try to get as much content as possible. So I would try to get 7 videos for the whole week for Instagram done in one day minimum. So that way, like that whole week, if I don't get to the shop, I don't get to the shop. And so for content wise, I'm fine. When it comes to like the actual project, it's working here and there, but at least I pack up and I'm like, okay, I'm good for the rest of the week. Now when she's home those 2 days and we share the day, I can actually spend it with her. So like actually focusing, like Jesse said, where it's like you go in the shop and you're on your phone for 30 minutes or whatever. But every time I like leave my phone in my freaking, like I do the story, like, hey, I'm out in the shop, my thing. And I put it down in the actual kitchen, shut the door, and then get to work and don't worry about my phone. I'm so much more productive.
Oh yeah, I'm so horrible about that. So bad. I swear half the time in the shop I'm on Instagram.
I know. And it's hard too, because like a lot of your Instagram is shop stuff. So it's like you feel like it's part of it, especially when you're doing content so much. You're like,
and then I feel bad because I get like people that follow me asking me questions like on my stories and stuff. So I'm like, I gotta respond to these people. Like I feel like an asshole if I don't. So then that distracts me, and then I start doing other stuff, and I'm like, no, put the phone down. It's bad, but I need to get better at that for sure.
Well, has anybody got anything else for this episode?
I think we're good. We're at like an hour and 20 minutes.
Are we
or
really?
Something.
There you go. Extra long podcast
like it,
today.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's really fine. All the support we get, we've had a lot of messages. I've had quite a few messages. I know you guys have sent me some. It's pretty awesome. So we appreciate it. If you guys share it with your friends, tell them to listen. We appreciate it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is just sharing it.
Yeah. And I mean, like today's podcast, we talked about barbecue, talking about everything. It's kind of how we're going to do it. We're not going to be talking about shop 100% of the time. We'll always try to answer some questions that you guys submit. And every podcast, but we're going to make it just a hang, for the most part. So,
we'll might have guests on eventually. still
That's the
trying
plan.
to debate that. But
Yeah, that's the plan. We'll probably have some interviews and bring some people on, answer questions. We've mentioned people like Jason Bent on how he's doing amazing, and the way he's doing it is completely different from the way I do things and the way, other people do things. So having different perspectives is good. So we'll probably have those on as well. But we appreciate all the support.
Absolutely.
So
thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.
All right. See ya.